I'm Don Huffines. I'm state senator for Senate District 16, which is the north half of Dallas County.
Hey, gossip aficionados. Welcome back to the juiciest corner of the internet, where we spill the tea on the boldest figures shaking things up in the political world. Today, we are diving into the world of Don Huffines, a man who's unapologetically pushing the envelope with his right-wing stances and driving liberals absolutely crazy. If you're someone who appreciates bold, conservative leadership, then you're going to love hearing about the three biggest scandals that prove Huffines is as based as they come. Buckle up, because we are about to celebrate the man who's not afraid to stand up for what he believes in.
Two genuine conservative heroes. Here we are.
First up, let's talk about Don Huffines' fearless advocacy for border security. While many politicians dance around the issue, Huffines made it clear that he was all in for securing our borders and putting Texas first. His campaign and public speeches have consistently pushed for the construction of a border wall, stricter immigration enforcement, and empowering local law enforcement to take charge. This stance, of course, sent leftists into a frenzy, with accusations of xenophobia and racism flying left and right.
They know it. They need us.
Huffines didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk by calling out Governor Greg Abbott for not doing enough to stop illegal immigration. He criticized the governor for what he saw as weak policies, and took it upon himself to promise a much tougher approach if elected. Huffines has been adamant that Texas should take matters into its own hands if the federal government fails to act. And this stance has made him a hero among conservatives who feel that border security is a top priority. One of the most based moves Huffines made was when he proposed that Texas should finish building the border wall on its own, using state funds.
This is a proven tactic that can work, and it's going to work. We don't have an option. We have to secure Texas's border and stop these cartels and this invasion. And I'm not going to be asking permission.
This bold idea was music to the ears of right-wing supporters who are tired of waiting for Washington to act. It showed that Huffines is willing to take radical steps to protect Texas and its citizens, even if it means ruffling a few feathers along the way. Of course, liberals couldn't handle this level of commitment to border security. They accused Huffines of fearmongering and pandering to the far right, but his supporters saw it differently. To them, Huffines was simply defending the rule of law and protecting the people of Texas from the dangers of unchecked immigration. It's this kind of no-nonsense approach that makes Huffines stand out as a leader who's not afraid to prioritize his state's safety.
Which ones aren't?
He says one of his top priorities is border security.
And I'm going to secure that border by finishing the wall.
In conclusion, Huffines' unwavering stance on border security has proven to be one of his most based moves. His refusal to back down in the face of criticism and his willingness to take bold action are exactly what conservatives love about him. Don Huffines isn't just talking about protecting Texas. He's ready to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
In the rainy day fund.
Next, we have Don Huffines' outspoken opposition to COVID-19 mandates. While many politicians were quick to jump on the bandwagon of mask mandates and lockdowns, Huffines was one of the few who dared to question the wisdom of these measures. He stood up for individual freedoms and made it clear that he believed in personal responsibility over government mandates. This position, as you can imagine, drove the left absolutely bonkers. Huffines didn't just criticize the mandates, he went after Governor Abbott once again, accusing him of overreach and betraying conservative values by imposing lockdowns and mask mandates in Texas. Huffines argued that these measures were not only ineffective, but also an infringement on the personal freedoms of Texans. This stance earned him a lot of respect from right-wing supporters who were frustrated with the government's heavy-handed approach during the pandemic. One of the most talked about moments was when Huffines publicly vowed to end all COVID-19 mandates on day one if elected governor. He promised to restore Texans' rights to make their own health decisions and to never again allow the government to shut down businesses or dictate personal behavior.
They can see the fact that this is a failed administration. We can just look at the issues. He put 3 million Texans out of work in 1 week. 1 week. He closed our churches, and he closed them over Easter. He put more people out of work in 1 week than all the jobs the state's created in a decade. We had people freezing to death, families that couldn't get water. Their babies were freezing. This was a survival mode. We were within 5 minutes when the electricity went out of being in the Stone Age and having the electricity out for months. I think Texans can understand what leadership's about.
This promise resonated deeply with conservatives who believe that freedom and personal responsibility should always come first. Of course, this stance put Huffines at odds with the mainstream narrative. Liberals and leftists accused him of being reckless and endangering public health, but Huffines held firm. He argued that the real danger was allowing the government to take away freedoms under the guise of public safety. His supporters loved him for this, seeing him as a champion of liberty in a time when many felt their rights were under attack. In conclusion, Huffines' opposition to COVID-19 mandates was a defining moment in his political career.
Restore our culture, and the Cowboys will get another ring. Our best days are yet to dawn.
We reached out to Governor Greg
It showed that he's not afraid to stand up for what he believes is right, even when it's unpopular. By prioritizing freedom and personal responsibility, Huffines solidified his place as a leader who's willing to take bold stands against government overreach. 3. Fighting critical race theory in schools.
But this really begs another question, and that's how our culture and our society has changed over the last 30 years.
Finally, let's dive into Don Huffines' crusade against critical race theory in schools. As the debate over CRT heated up across the nation, Huffines was one of the loudest voices calling for its removal from Texas classrooms. He made it clear that he believed CRT was divisive and harmful to students, and he wasn't afraid to take on the education establishment to get it out of the curriculum. This stance, predictably, had the left in an uproar. Huffines didn't just criticize CRT, he went after the school boards and educators who were promoting it. He argued that CRT was an attempt to indoctrinate students with a leftist agenda, and that it was teaching children to view everything through the lens of race. Huffines proposed banning CRT outright in Texas schools and holding educators accountable for pushing this divisive ideology. One of the most base things Huffines did was to promise that, if elected, he would defund any school that taught CRT. He also vowed to give parents more control over their children's education, including the right to review and challenge any curriculum they found objectionable. This strong stance on education won him a lot of support from conservatives, who were concerned about the direction the public school system was heading. Of course, the left went into full meltdown mode over Huffines' anti-CRT stance. They accused him of trying to whitewash history and silence important conversations about race. But Huffines didn't back down. He argued that CRT was not about history, but about pushing a political agenda, and that schools should focus on teaching students to think critically and independently rather than indoctrinating them with ideology. In conclusion, Huffines' fight against CRT in schools is another example of his willingness to take on the tough issues and stand up for what he believes in. His commitment to protecting students from indoctrination and giving parents more control over education is exactly the kind of leadership that conservatives are looking for. Don Huffines isn't just talking about fixing the education system. He's ready to take action and make it happen.
Patriots, people that believed in the exceptionalism of America and Texas and the free market. We can change Texas, but we have to have the right governor.
There you have it, folks. The top 3 scandals that show Don Huffines is one of the most based politicians out there. From securing the border and standing up for personal freedoms to fighting against CRT, Huffines has proven time and again that he's not afraid to take bold stands. Stay tuned for more juicy gossip, and remember to always support leaders who are willing to fight for conservative values.
Those 5 people there. I need you to volunteer for this campaign.
I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe, as I will continue posting only the best celebrity and K-pop content. This was Watch Wave, and until next time, have a good one.
Victory is inevitable on March the 4th. And Patriots, please remember, Huffines has it.